Hey cats, it's Ed, Newshound Bud here. I've got your weekly dose of running related news for your head top. Today we're talking brand new mouldy shoes. We got 2 brand new releases coming from Adidas. And do you like a nice cup of coffee in the morning? Well, it could be helping out your running without you knowing it. Let's get to it. Thanks for joining me on the channel, people. It is always appreciated. If you're yet to do so, help us get to 100,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below for notifications when I launch those new videos. You don't want to miss out. It really helps the channel out too if you give this video a thumbs up like, but also share the video with your running buddies, or anyone else for that matter. Maybe even your mother-in-law. It also helps the channel out on a more ad hoc basis if you hit us up with a super thanks down below. It helps the shoes to keep on rolling in. A nice sort of sustainable amount. Just need about 4 EDDBUD clones now so I can get out and test them all. Let's get to the running news. Here's story number 1. Oh, first up, a new release from Adidas. I've been really looking forward to this one. I was a really big fan of the original ADIZERO SL20. We've got the ADIZERO SL coming up. This one is perhaps the missing part of that ADIZERO series. I commented about this shoe some time back. A very valued viewer let me know about it when it first appeared on the Adidas app, where they were requesting feedback from the users of the app about the shoe. I think at one point someone mentioned it was fake or something, but it quite clearly isn't. It's coming out. The ADIZERO SL is here for Adidas members at least. If you're on the 3-stripe app, you have seen a load of colorways drop of this shoe. There's a grey, pink and blue, classic Adidas World Cup style black and white, along with a grey version, a triple black, and also a blue and white version. The better images of this shoe do show it off to be somewhat of a greatest hits of the ADIZERO lineup. The upper looks of the Adios Pro 3. We've got the profile of the Takumi Sen 8 almost. A midsole which is kind of like a light strike version of the Adios Pro 3. Some lacing eyelets, not all that dissimilar to the Prime X. Though it isn't all standard light strike here, apparently there's a drop-in in the front of the shoe which is Light Strike Pro. It's hidden away in the front there, a little bit like a Cadbury's cream egg. The 3-stripe brand have dropped this one at 110 Earth credits here in the UK, seemingly a direct competitor to Nike's very popular Pegasus model. I mean, they're exactly the same prices here, but I think the Adidas shoe might be that bit lighter. A daily driver to facilitate that mile munching. Though, as many of you have pointed out to me already, this shoe does not feature Continental rubber.
Continental.
35mm in the heel, 10mm drop. Will it clip the wings of the Pegasus? Apparently the sample weight is about 243 grams for that UK 8.5. I don't know anybody it's a UK 8.5. Everybody's got big feet these days, including my son. He's already got very large feet, and my daughter. They could both be good runners, very tall, very long legs. No balance. It's all there. I'm really pumped to test this one out. I've ordered a pair of the Victory Blue. Will it prove top dog in testing? Tune in to find out. Story 2. I stumbled across an interesting running-related scholarly paper from Japan. The study, published in the Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise Journal from Professor Hashimoto, suggests that caffeine supplements could improve your running, but only within the first few meters. The test used 13 sprinters over 100-meter time trials, either using caffeine-based supplements or placebos, to try and establish if there was a clear advantage. Of course, on outdoor courses, you've got to take those other conditions into account. Obviously got factors like temperature and wind and all that stuff. They found it was evidently clear between 0 to 20 meters there was quite a substantial improvement with those people using the caffeine supplements, but no real improvements after that. So I wouldn't suggest taking, a flask of black coffee out on your long run. That's probably not going to be that beneficial unless you want to have it at the end when you feel a bit tuckered out. I mean, it could have some adverse effects, I suppose, if you drank too much coffee as you got into your long run. I'll let you decide what those might be. I think these days I prefer a Mr. Kipling Cherry Bakewell. Maybe some mint poppets as well, though they are quite noisy on your long run. Jiggling around there. Always enjoyable though, and always convenient. Seriously though, it does appear that coffee could have a bit of an impact if you're going to do some sort of shorter bursts. Perhaps you're doing some speed training. I might try it myself, in fact, the next time I head over to the Penmill training estate for a heavy session. I always run better in the mornings after I've had black coffee, so maybe there is something in it. Maybe Professor Hashimoto is onto something. Story 3. It's actually quite a bizarre Nike quality control issue here. Have you ever received a brand new Nike running shoe that is covered in mould? Some recent buyers of the Air Jordan 1 Chicago Lost and Found received pairs with actual mould on them. I mean, the shoe's supposed to look like this. It's kind of got this aged finish. And like on the outsole as well. It's supposed to look like it's been left in some storeroom for years and years and just sort of uncovered at some point. Sort of like an off-white sail midsole, dual laces, the cracked black upper in the heel, and actual mould. Loads of pairs have been received that have been covered in mould around the ankle padding, white mould as well. It does appear that these shoes have been stashed away somewhere that didn't have the most ideal conditions for footwear. I do imagine though that when you're producing 350,000 pairs of a specific model, I mean, you've got to store them somewhere, and that's going to be quite a long production run. It is sad though that lots of people that got lucky, or at least thought they did, and managed to buy a pair have had their orders cancelled by Nike. That's terrible, isn't it? Like thinking you've got a shoe that you've been after and then having your order cancelled a little way down the line just to be denied. It's not good. I got to be honest, I've had shoes arrive from Nike with all sorts of different weird defects. You know, you've got like glue marks all over the midsole and the upper, poor paint jobs on the midsole, certainly on some of the next percents, and even missing eyelets where they just haven't been punched out correctly. But I've never had mould on the upper of a shoe. That's just pretty weird. Though, do Nike really produce this many pairs of any running shoe out there? I know the Revolution and the Pegasus models are very popular and probably sold millions of pairs over the years. I think back in 2016, Nike reckoned that they'd sold 50 million pairs of Pegasus shoes, at least since it was released in 1983. There's been a lot of iterations of that shoe. What issues have you had with Nike shoes out the box? Have you ever had to send some back straight away because there's some serious defect? Or have they ever cancelled an order on you before you even got them? Let me know down in the comments. Definitely no mould in mine though, we're alright. Story 4. Last up today, we got some hot news about a perhaps very imminent release of the Takumi Sen 9. I will cover this one in a yay or nay a little bit closer to the time so I can really get in depth. But when these images popped up, I couldn't help but have a quick gander. No surprises here, we have the same midsole and outsole setup as we've seen in the ADIZERO Takumi Sen 8. Light Strike Pro, but in a lower stack model than the ADIZERO Adios Pro 3. You got that lateral toe box cutout and the exposed energy rods in the medial arch. So no surprises there, I didn't think they'd switch it up. Adidas do seem to be going through that sort of 2 model iteration cycle. No changes to the outsole rubber either, which is fine with me. It's still one of the best high-speed pace shoes out there. Actually, one of the best shoes, in fact, of the last year. The changes here are all in the upper materials and profile. It seems there could be a slightly longer tongue here as it protrudes out of the shoe a tiny bit, though that might just be how the shoe's been prepared for the shots. Does seem a little bit longer though, I have to say. I've tried to pull the tongue out here as far as it will go, but yeah, it does seem like it might be a bit longer in the Sen 9. If you weren't a fan of the floppy kind of Achilles area, then I think we might be in for the same thing. The upper bears more resemblance to the Adios Pro 3 this time round than the Pro 2. You got the strange flap over heel tab there to help you get the shoe on. That section mimics the Pro 3 almost completely, like the upper's been grafted from that shoe onto the Sen 8 midsole. The major change here though from the Adios Pro 3 upper is the lack of those initial eyelet lace loops. So I'd say it's almost like a half an upper change really. Maybe like a Takumi Sen 8.5. They do seem to be sticking with the toe box though. It's more similar to the Sen 8 than the Adios Pro 3. Very clearly the midsole stack is the same here, so we've got about 33mm in the heel, so a more conservative heel to toe drop, and many people do like that for a higher speed race shoe, those 5 and 10k efforts. Personally, I'm happy that they've kept the shoe the same with perhaps a slightly lighter upper, though of course do remember that the Sen 8 was a very narrow shoe before, so this might leave a few people out from being able able to try the Takumi Sen 9. A lot of people just struggled to get into that shoe. It was so narrow. Certainly one of the most narrow of all the ADIZERO series over the last few years. More news on this potential imminent release when I get it. Okay, that's all the running news for this week. If you found an interesting story you think I should cover, please hit me up in the comments or in the email in the description of this video. Musical interlude time. I can remember back when this track was released, absolutely fantastic Christmas song. Christmas songs are almost sort of relegated to, you know, outside the top 10. We get these terrible sort of like pop idol type releases and they're just really forgettable. I am talking about the fantastic rockin' Christmas time, Don't Let the Bells End by The Darkness. I remember when this one came out, I think I bought about 3 or 4 copies of it and I was trying to get everyone else that I knew to buy copies of it. And it still didn't get to number 1. What's that all about? I love the harmonised guitars in this one. The drums are absolutely huge as well, like thunderous sound. Brilliant vocal performance by the absolute legend Justin Hawkins. Guy's a national treasure as far as I'm concerned. I think he needs to be preserved, not in sort of some brine or something. He should be Sir Justin Hawkins. There we go. Fantastic guitar player too. I think he's extremely underrated. People don't realise just how good he is. Musicianship and the lyric writing here in the track are absolutely tremendous. I do love the inclusion of the vocoder section as well, a little later in the track. It's like ELO style, but done better than ELO, I think. And of course, it's a Christmas tune, so we've got a fantastic choir a little later to really bring it home. One of my absolute favourites as we get towards Christmas. Christmas time, Don't Let the Bells End by The Darkness. Thanks for tuning in today, people. It is always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications. Also give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. I'd be most appreciative. A super thanks goes a long way too. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you